we did it together. It's just good to kind of get that monkey off your back, if you will. We've been playing so hard. I think we've been playing well. We just haven't been able to come out with a victory, in quite a while. So it's good for that to happen for us. There's so many guys. They all contributed in the game. But, I thought Chris, obviously a career high for him. He continues to just keep getting better. He did a really good job tonight. Ashton, 3 blocks. That dude is just a little pit bull. I just love him. I just love him. He leaves it out there every single time. But so many guys, I thought Moses' minutes were huge for us. Just getting him back into the lineup, having that type of size and rebounding, and he finished around the basket was good for us as well. Jabari gets a double-double. So many guys played well. We created, a lot of opportunities, and we obviously shot it well, tonight from 3. And that a lot of times has kind of failed us lately. We just hadn't shot it great, but played pretty good. So it was good to get that one.
This is Jabari Walker, and you're listening to The Briefcase with Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazers fans, and welcome to The Briefcase, episode 82 of The Briefcase, full NBA season of The Briefcase. I am your host, Casey Holdahl, and that was Chauncey Billups discussing his team breaking a 9-game losing streak with a 30-point victory versus the Grizzlies Friday night in Memphis. And then the next night, the Blazers would rally from an 18-point deficit to take the rematch versus the Grizzlies, also in Memphis, in overtime on Saturday night. So after a winless February, the Blazers are undefeated through the first weekend of March. It's a bit hard to imagine with their schedule that that's going to be able to keep up, but that is why they play the games. We'll look back on a good weekend in Memphis, preview the upcoming schedule, and hear part 1 of a 2-part interview with comedian, writer, podcaster, Trailblazer fan, and all-around good guy Ian Karmel on this edition of The Briefcase. Well, the Blazers winning consecutive games for just the 4th time this season by getting a pair of wins on back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday, in Memphis this weekend. Both teams rather short-handed, both teams at the bottom of the rankings in terms of offensive rating this season. The Blazers able to get both those contests, though, to get to 17 wins on the season. After a terrible first quarter for both teams in Game 1, the Blazers are able to get things figured out in the second half, blow the game open in the third, scoring 40 points on 79% shooting from the field, and 5 of 7 shooting from 3, and 5 of 5 shooting from the line. Duop Reith, after going 3 of 10 in the first half, posted 12 points on 5 of 6 shooting from the field and 2 of 3 shooting from 3 for 12 points in the third quarter alone to help the Blazers blow that game open. While the Grizzlies also shot better than 55% from the field in the third quarter of that game, the Blazers went on a 19-4 run at the end of the third quarter and through the first minute of the fourth quarter to take absolute control of that game. Blazers went up by as many as 33, end up winning that game by 30. As Chauncey mentioned in the open, the team got contributions up and down the roster in that win. You had Jabari Walker with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block in 22 minutes off the bench. Delano Banton, getting that briefcase bounce, also had 19 points to go with 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal in 20 minutes. Chris Murray, who's been starting and has been playing great as of late, 14 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds in 24 minutes. As I mentioned, Duop Reith, 18 points after a dreadful first half to go with 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and an assist in 23 minutes. Matisse Thybulle, an absolute tear on the defensive end, also had a very nice offensive game, going 50% from the field for 13 points to go with 3 steals, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists in 26 minutes. 10 points, 5 assists for Jerami Grant in that one as well in 33 minutes. One of the nice things about getting that win, 1, it ended a 9-game losing streak. It's always nice to get a victory after you have that many losses in a row. But 2, because of how comfortable the victory was, the Trailblazers were able to rest a number of their regular players, even though neither team has much of a complement of players right now due to injuries. But the Blazers were still able to give some guys a little bit of rest. Most of the players playing under 30 minutes in that game, going into Saturday night's game, the rematch, though it didn't seem like it mattered. At least initially, the Grizzlies jump out in front of the Trailblazers, as I mentioned, go up by as many as 18 points in the second game on Saturday night at FedEx Forum in Memphis. However, the Trailblazers able to get things going back in the second half, chip away at the lead, despite the fact that Jerami Grant only played 15 minutes and left the game in the second half due to a quad contusion. Blazers able to chip away at that lead. Anthony Simons, 30 points on 10 of 23 shooting from the field, 4 of 9 shooting from 3, and 6 of 7 shooting from the free throw line in that one to go with 7 rebounds, 7 assists to lead the comeback. Blazers able to tie the game at the end of regulation. The Blazers score, I think, the first 7 or 8 points in overtime. Delano Banton coming up big in overtime in that one as well. Trailblazers end up coming away with a 107-100 victory in the rematch in overtime Saturday night in Memphis to again get a rare consecutive victory for this team this season. Outside of Anthony Simons, you had 18 points, 12 rebounds from Jabari Walker. I think particularly with DeAndre Ayton out of the lineup as he has been in both those games in Memphis, which I believe I mentioned he was probably going to miss both those games on a recent edition of the Briefcase. Jabari doing a lot to make up for DeAndre's absence, particularly on the glass. Went plus 21 in that game as well. Once again, 18 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal for Jabari Walker in 31 minutes in the winning effort. 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks for Duop Reith. 15 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and a block in 36 minutes for Toumani Camara. Toumani's been great as of late, getting that starting spot back. I think there's probably a good chance he'll remain there for the rest of the season. I think he's earned it at this point. I think you'd like to see what Toumani's able to do in this last month and a half of the season. Keep Toumani out there, folks. 13 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block for Ashton Hagans, who also had 3 blocks in the first victory versus the Grizzlies on Friday. Ashton really coming in and doing what he's asked to do. Chauncey Billups, as you probably heard in that clip, absolutely loves him. I think he probably reminds Chauncey a bit of himself a little bit. That's always a helpful thing when you're a young player trying to get some minutes as well. And I think they're also finding, too, that the combination of Ashton and Delano Banton, both those guys playing pretty well off each other in those second units. Delano had 10 points, 3 rebounds in 13 minutes in that game as well. Tough regulation for Delano. Did a very nice job in the overtime, though, to help the Blazers get that victory to once again secure a perfect weekend in Memphis. Blazers end up going 3-1 versus the Grizzlies this season. Going to be a much tougher game in Minneapolis than it was in Memphis this weekend. So the Blazers finishing off a 3-game road trip Monday night in Minneapolis versus the Timberwolves before heading home to play 6 straight at Moda Center. As I mentioned, while DeAndre Ayton didn't play in either game in Memphis this weekend, he is listed as questionable. He's been upgraded to questionable for Monday's game versus the Timberwolves. Not entirely sure if he's going to end up playing in that one. If I had to guess, I'd say he probably doesn't. But one thing that did help was the return of Moses Brown this weekend in Memphis. Moses Brown, as you might recall, sidelined for nearly 2 months with a broken wrist. He made his return to the lineup this weekend in Memphis, ended up playing both games. I imagine he'll play Monday night versus the Timberwolves as well, regardless of whether or not DeAndre Ayton's able to go. But Moses was the only player who was injured that we talked about on the last edition of the Briefcase who did end up playing, at least thus far on this road trip. Malcolm Brogdon didn't play in either game versus the Grizzlies, is already listed as out for the game versus the Timberwolves. Same with Scoot Henderson. Haven't gotten an update yet on that left adductor strain, but I think at this point, I know they're going to play things very carefully, but also starts to wonder if maybe there's some cause for concern there, seeing as how you know that they want Scoot Henderson to play. It's not like Scoot's a vet, obviously, so it's not like they're just resting him for the sake of resting him. If he's not playing right now, that injury has to be enough to keep him sidelined. Hopefully he's able to play at some point in time on this upcoming homestand. I mean, there's 6 games, so if he doesn't play in any of those games, then you probably really start to get worried. Scoot has now missed 5 games with that injury and has not played in 7 of Portland's last 9 games, seeing as he had a different injury that kept him out of 2 games prior to the All-Star break. So not sure if we're going to get an update on Scoot anytime soon, but as of right now, again, I think a little cause for concern there. I don't think he was expected to be out this long, so not entirely sure what that means. Again, I'm guessing a majority of that is just playing it very safe and not wanting a similar situation to happen with Scoot's injury, as has happened with other players on this team that had adductor injuries. But either way, hasn't been back in the lineup. One of the guys you would like to see the most at this time of the year. The fact that he hasn't been able to play since the All-Star break, bit of a bummer there. And Shaedon Sharpe, obviously not expected to come back, if he's able to come back, until sometime later on in the month of March. We'll keep an eye out on that, but as of right now, no real update there either. But no Malcolm Brogdon, no Scoot Henderson, no Shaedon Sharpe. Possible all those guys play again sometime this season. You would hope that some of those guys are going to play again at some point in time this season, but as of right now, all those players have been out for an extended period of time. All right, moving on to betting on the Trailblazers. After failing to cover in 7 straight games, the Blazers covered in back-to-back wins versus the Grizzlies. They were 1-point dogs and won the first game by 30 points, and they were 2-point dogs despite winning the first game by 30 points and would go on to win by 7 in overtime. So 2 covers after being small road dogs in both games versus the Grizzlies in Memphis. I thought for sure that they'd be favored in the rematch after winning by 30. I was glad they weren't, seeing as how poorly the Blazers have played this season when they're listed as the favorite. So the fact that the folks in Vegas were nice enough to still make them the underdogs, they get a little bit of credit for that victory in Memphis, the second one at least, I would say. And now the Blazers have as many wins versus the spread in March as they had in all of February, only covered twice in February. Obviously didn't get any wins in February, did cover in a couple losses. Blazers get 2 wins to start March, wins not only in terms of their record, but also in terms of covering the spread. And as for their season projection, with 17 wins now, the Blazers need 12 additional wins in their final 23 games to hit the over on 28.5 wins, which is what Las Vegas set the over-under as for Portland this season. Once again, the Blazers need 12 wins in their final 23 games, so they need to go a little better than 50% in order to hit the over. As I mentioned last time, I'll mention it again today. That's going to be very difficult. Even if the Blazers were playing their absolute best right now, even if they had everyone available right now, you look at their schedule, quite a few great teams coming up in the last month and a half of the season, and a lot of games, a lot of road games as well on Portland's schedule. So if they're going to hit that over, they're going to have to do it with a Herculean effort. If not, all of you folks who bet the under, congratulations. Don't spend it all in one place. All right, moving on. We're going to mix it up a little bit on this edition of The Briefcase. As I note in the interview, Ian Karmel, longtime Trailblazer fan, former head writer for The James Corden Show, stand-up comedian. He's got a new book coming out, T-Shirt Swim Club. He's got a show coming up at Revolution Hall, not Wonder Ballroom, by the way. All Fantasy Everything, one of your favorite comedy podcasts. Wanted to have Ian on to talk about his upcoming book, talk about being a Trailblazer fan in Los Angeles, since I know so many of you out there living in California are enduring the same things that Ian is as a long-suffering Trailblazer fan in SoCal. This is part 1 of a 2-part interview. We actually recorded this at Cafe Oli on MLK. Nice little spot, by the way, too. A wide-ranging conversation, as you might imagine. Some of the topics include Ian working part-time for the Trailblazers, whether or not he's able to get a 10-day contract, union solidarity, Ian's Blazer fandom, and the origins of that fandom, being a Blazer fan in Los Angeles, Lakers fans versus Clippers fans, monthly arena sponsorships, Ian's appreciation of Camara, trying to get a job at CJ's Winery, seeing Little Feat and Joan Baez at Sokolblosser Winery. That one's a throwback. Huey Lewis's medical conditions. Ian's famous Blazer photo of him arms crossed looking pissed off. We talk about that a bit as well. Fans as toddlers. The Pendleton-Margella collab and how stunning it is that no one has sent anything from that collaboration to Jerami Grant. JG and Matisse's Jam Band. Chest hair. And probably a few other things that I forgot to write down. We talk some Blazers. We talk some Portland. Talk growing up Trailblazer fans. It's not the most analytic basketball conversation you're ever going to hear, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. Ian Karmel, Part 1.
Well, I'm joined by the first non-Trailblazer employee to ever be a guest on the Briefcase.
That's right. I was briefly
Big
employed by
himself.
Comcast Sports Northwest.
That's true. So there was some ancillaries there. And
Yeah.
I know you've done a few things for the team, and I don't know if maybe there is
That's
any.
true. There's been a little
compensation, I would
exchange
imagine.
of goods and goods for services, services for goods.
Yeah,
a little bit of that.
so you're a contractor, yeah.
That's right.
But at
I'm
least
an
in terms of
independent contractor.
exactly. But
I'm on a 10-day.
The first one is not getting regular paychecks from the Portland Trailblazers. Ian Karmel,
That's right.
Portland legend.
Although if
Beaverton legend,
the
I guess I
injuries
should
keep
say.
piling up, at some point, the way each of us are like in line for the presidency on some level, even if that means 35 million people dying, I might have to pick up some minutes for the Trailblazers.
And I'm sure maybe the fans who have been able to watch the games recently have noticed that Ian's been sitting courtside and very close to courtside.
That's right.
So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, you're like 3 steps away from being on the court anyways,
I'm
which
ready.
at this point in time might be enough to get you out there.
I've installed tearaway buttons into my Husky jeans and
yeah.
my cardigans, so I'm ready. I could just pull it off, go out there, 5 fouls, couple of charges, and I'll get out.
Now, are you a T-shirt under the jersey guy, or?
I would definitely be a T-shirt.
Yeah, I would be too.
I might go full, just like Dwayne Wade, like spandex superhero.
I feel like
outfit.
Kobe Bryant for a while there was wearing like a full bodysuit.
Yeah.
And they even had to change a rule.
Oh yeah, not at all. Oh my God! Thank you so much.
You got me through all my depression.
Oh God.
Oh, this is fantastic. No, please. Thank you for interrupting. Man, look at that.
Keep that in.
Oh, that's
No, I'm
staying
just
in. No,
joking.
I'm rolling the entire time. Yeah. No, and that's. I guess we can.
That cost me about $460, by the way.
Oh, it was a plant.
Yeah,
of course.
big time plant. Yeah.
Well, that I mean,
You have to pay SAG minimum.
Well,
you know what I mean?
that's true. Yeah, I mean, you as a loyal union member, like, you got to stay within the confines of the collective bargaining agreements
That's
that you
right.
have. Do you ever consider the kinship between yourself and NBA players due to your status as labor warriors?
Absolutely. Yeah,
you should.
Although, yeah, I do in a lot of ways. Yeah, I do. Even to the point where sometimes we get annoying, the way sometimes Draymond Green is annoying. Where it's like a don't shoot the messenger situation. You know what I mean? Like Draymond sometimes when he's like complaining about like the schedule.
Yeah.
Like publicly, and it's like Chris Paul is 3 lockers away. Go talk to him.
Exactly.
We all agreed
He's the
to
Prez.
You guys agreed to the 65 game limit. You know what I mean? Like. I don't know if I agree with it or not. Frankly, nobody asked me, so I never like had to form an opinion on it. But like, if you have a problem with the 65 game award limit, he's right there.
Yeah,
he's you guys voted on that.
My thing, and I've been saying this for years about the Players Association, is that they run it too much like it's actually based off of how good at basketball you are.
Yeah.
Because it's always like everyone who's always in leadership positions is always like the top elite guys who are never going to have to worry about anything. You're always going to get taken care of.
It should be.
It's the middle of the road guys.
Yes.
And for those guys, you think they care about a 65 game limit to be all NBA or MVP? They don't care. They don't get
Norm
those things
Powell should be
anyways.
the ceiling of how good at basketball
Absolutely,
you can be to be involved in the union. It's right. It's always weird where it's like you're telling me that like C.J. McCollum and Chris Paul also happen to be the best at
and it's just and the
bargaining.
players
And
I think they're so accustomed to kind of falling in line based off of like your talent that it bleeds over into the union as well. I mean, like it's like no one's saying that Fran Drescher is the greatest actress out there, but she's running the union.
She
like,
is,
because,
she's running the union
for the rank and file,
running like the Navy. She did a great job. I think, Mo Wagner might be sitting there, a labor genius. You know what I mean? Like the next Eugene Debs, and he's just sitting there, and he just can't get minutes, so he's not able to be as involved as he wants to be.
So, Ian, just your thoughts on the Portland Trail Blazers this season, and just in general, being a Portland Trail Blazer fan, not only a fan, a longtime fan, a fan who has followed the team from Los Angeles, kind of just the whole breadth of being a LA, Portland, Trailblazer fan.
It is. Being a Blazer fan has been one of the great joys of my entire life. Truly. I mean, I've told this story a million times, but I was root for. As long as I have memories, I remember rooting for the Blazers. I used to make like construction paper cutouts, like paper dolls of the team.
Yeah.
Watching like the Will Vinton intro on Blazer Cable. And I went to the Middleman Jewish Community Center for preschool and kindergarten, and they used to practice there, right? So, you'd be going to class, and you'd see Kevin Duckworth and Jerome Kersey walking by. I was telling Michael Holton the other day when I was doing the pregame show, and he was like, oh, yeah, we used to practice right there at the Middleman. And then, like, we'd have to get the court because, like, a bunch of kids would have to go, a bunch of little Jewish kids would have to go out there, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean, kick like a ball around, so they would have to cut practice short. And Rick Adelman would have to, I guess, take him to the auxiliary court or something. But, I've loved him my entire life. Moving to L.A., I mean, thank God for League Pass. That has allowed me to, like, watch as much as I like. But, like, in the time I've lived in L.A., the last 10 years, for the most part, up until the last couple years, we've had the L.A. team's number.
Yeah.
We beat the Clippers in the playoffs, I think, a couple times. We beat the Lakers in L.A. quite a few times. It's been amazing. Especially with, like, the Clippers fans who are so new money.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
just, I remember in that playoff series, they were talking so much noise. Where I'm like, act like, and they lost. And they were losing, by the way, but still just, like, being so annoying. I kind of dislike Clippers fans more than I dislike Lakers fans.
You know, there's something at least a little charming about Laker fans in that, like, you hate them, but, like, there's a certain, like, they put work in. Like they've been in the game, particularly in Los Angeles.
They've been in LA.
Like,
there's like 3-4 generations of fans
like
there.
If you're some kid from like Nebraska who's a big Laker fan, like
I don't
pound
want to hear
sand.
it.
But like like if you live in Los Angeles, like I can respect Laker fans that are as Laker fanny as they are, up to and including the fact that they got LeBron James, and then after Kobe passed, there was so much like, you're not Kobe.
Yeah.
Like that, talking trash to LeBron James, who's on your team about not being the
winning
other guy.
Winning you a championship.
Like,
and it's
there's a certain level of, I respect that level of kind of
the
angst.
parlance of the day, they know ball.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I actually don't mind. Like, I know a lot of Lakers fans down there. I know a couple of Clippers fans who I love, by the way. There's great Clippers fans too. So it's good. There's also like Blazers fans in LA.
Yeah.
So there's like a group of us down there.
A great group of fans.
Great group of fans down there. So we're always like rolling pretty deep to the games. Anytime you're walking into what is, as of right now, but perhaps by the time this recording releases, it might not be, Crypto.com Arena.
Yeah, how does that? Because does Crypto.com even exist
They
anymore?
exist still.
Okay, it still does. Okay,
it was the Miami one. Sam Bankman-Fried
that's right.
went out of
yeah,
business.
Yeah.
Which I think just didn't have a name for him in FTX, and then it was just like
the
arena in Miami. Cuban Link Chain Arena or something like that.
They should go that
They
direction.
should, just
Absolutely.
make it like hyper local.
Yeah, doing like monthly sponsorships of an arena, I think would make a ton of sense.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love if like a group of fans could go in and just call like my Uncle Jeff, whose 40th birthday is this weekend, arena.
Like the Sphere in
Portland.
Vegas or whatever. It's like you give us $250,000 for the month, you call it what you want.
Sponsorship residency.
Yeah.
I think $250,000 would buy you like 45 seconds on the Sphere, from what I hear. How much that costs?
Well, but then you read those stories about how mad they are that didn't make any money. So cut me a deal.
It's so. To answer your question, it's wonderful being a Blazer fan. It's wonderful in LA. It's I watch as many games as I can. This season, it's been a little harder to convince my wife to sit through all the games.
Yeah, I could see that.
Last year, it's like close, and it's like, watch, Damian Lillard's going to win it for us. And, 9 times out of 10, it would actually happen like that.
Happening, yeah.
And this season, you kind of have to be, I can't expect her to get into doo-wop wreath, 3-point percentages.
Yeah. Jabari's going to double-double tonight.
Right,
Jabari is absolutely getting a double-double tonight.
Look at the way Toumani Camara switches right here. He's smart.
You see how he's playing his left hand?
That dude's brilliant, by the way.
Is.
I don't think I truly appreciated it until I got to see him in person against Charlotte and Miami. There was a play where we were on offense, and he was just running all over the place, creating havoc in a good way on offense. And a shot went up, it got tipped, but it looked like it almost hit the rim, but it didn't hit the rim. But the shot clock was almost gone. He grabbed it and lobbed up a shot. It didn't go in, but not to the 30 for 30, but the presence of mind to just have been doing all those things as a rookie and remembering that it didn't quite hit the rim, so the shot clock didn't reset. So let me get it up right now. You're not only is that guy just all over the place, but he's also brilliant. That alone. Miami fans wanted to get all chirpy after they came back in the second half and beat us minus 8 of our players. That dude alone, Camara alone, is worth.
It is
not
as
having
good
Tyler
as
Hero on the team.
Would have got in that deal. Absolutely. And
no shade on Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, no. Up and down. He's sometimes great, sometimes
a useful player on a contending team.
Yeah,
not necessarily anything we want to be building.
Yeah, and also you put Duncan Robinson on the Trailblazers, and then you hear everything you ever hear. About the Portland Trailblazers from outside of the city. About of course you got Duncan Robinson.
They love the big dorky white guy. Looks like there. One of the kids from Recess.
Which is not true too, because he's from a private prep school kind of guy. Which we hate that stuff out
we
here.
We do hate that kind of thing here. If he was the kind of dude who owned a boutique butcher shop,
no,
or a terrarium store,
he would have a long-term deal already.
He would have exactly. He'd retire here, after he went elsewhere and won a championship, like we're hoping CJ and Dame do. CJ likes wine too much to not end up back in McMinnville, right?
Well, yeah, he's the spread in Carlton. It's he has no choice. Yeah, at some point in time, he's going to have to move there.
If only for agricultural reasons. Yeah.
Which I need to talk to him about maybe trying to develop some of that land too. I need to get in on that.
Get out there.
As someone who grew up in Oregon wine country, I feel like my skills, CJ, if you're listening to this,
your connection to the soil, it's a good post NBA plan for each of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just yelling in the media room the other day about how the wine industry needs to be taken back for the people, and how it's just agriculture, and it's not
it's working the land.
Exactly.
Get out of it, Coppola.
Yeah.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You Hollywood elites.
Exactly. Pass that along to the cabal if you.
I'll let the cabal know. I'll let them know. We have a meeting next Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I'll tell CJ I'm willing to do a summer series of shows out there on the winery too.
So when I was a kid, Sokol Blosser Winery, they used to have.
I saw Little Feet out there.
I saw Joan Baez there. Yeah, exactly. Little Feet, dude. That's so great. Where have you seen Tower of Power at in Portland?
Fantastic.
Anywhere? You had to have. So.
No, I don't. I didn't. My dad
convention center opening. That's where
right.
Yeah, literally.
They played in one tower. They were the one tower of power.
Exactly. They couldn't get the other
my dad took me to a Little Feet concert at Sokol Blosser Winery, and I remember sitting there I'm glad you enjoy this.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee I was at that concert too, actually.
Lovely evening.
Yeah.
Blanket, little cheese. Come on.
Exactly. The valley, looking out over the.
We needed the wineries need to take it back from the Oregon Zoo, right?
That's true. Yeah. The zoo has kind of squeezed them out a little bit.
Let the lions sleep tonight.
Yeah. I don't understand how that works too. I love the zoo. I'm a member.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do concerts there.
I feel like it's got to annoy the animals.
I mean, the elephants are right
They're
there.
right there.
They're right there.
Hopefully some of them enjoy Bonnie Raitt, but you can't enjoy you can't guarantee that all of them do.
Yeah.
What if one of them wants to hear Huey Lewis on the news?
Yeah.
He's got to wait until next
weekend.
weekend.
Huey's he doesn't play anymore because he can't hear.
He can't?
Yeah, no, I read the story like a year ago. Like he has this like rare audiological disorder where like he can't hear his own voice anymore.
Huey Lewis and the Bad News.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is why Huey Lewis would be like a phenomenal like revival county fair band, but like
he would be huge.
It would dominate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Huey he doesn't have it in him.
Oh.
Yeah, tough stuff. Now, Ian, I wanted to get to this because I've thought about this for a while, and I feel like it's a good nexus in terms of like celebrity and Trailblazer fans. There is the photo of you at the game, looking very stern with your arms crossed.
Oh yeah.
How does it feel to be like a local meme, or like to because I think like when people see that, like they can instantly associate it with like a time and a place,
a feeling
exactly, like they know what that image is imparting.
We were losing to the Clippers. I think in the series we ultimately won, but it might have been one of the ones we lost. And we were losing. I went to the game alone. You know, I was like sitting because like that was in the playoff games. I would go on one of those like aftermarket ticket sites, buy some tickets because the LA teams. Sometimes in Portland, I can get free tickets to the game, and that's amazing, and I love it. But the LA arenas are locked down. Like I'm not sure Austin Reeves' family can get free tickets to a Lakers game. Like
MSG, I can guarantee you they do not.
They're
not
that
comp,
locked in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So when I went alone, I couldn't like convince. I'm like, hey, do you want to spend $400 on like an okay ticket? Maybe more, like to a Clippers game. And nobody at like the Late Late Show is interested. So you're sitting there alone. You're like surrounded by Clippers fans who are just like now tasting success and like so obnoxious about it. I remember, I think that exact game, there were two dudes sitting behind me. Now in hindsight, it can be kind of funny, but like at the time it was just so annoying. I think it was what Plumlee was on the team, and they were just yelling at him. They were calling him every other white big man in the NBA.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Now
tried and true, yeah.
It is kind of funny. They were, just, you know what I mean? Like they were like, Cody Zeller, you suck. Like that kind of stuff.
Also former Trailblazer.
Yeah. Also, yeah, exactly. So it was pretty funny, but it was driving me crazy. And like I looked back a couple times, so when we started losing, they let me hear it. So I was just sitting there, kind of looking like a little Lord Fauntleroy with like my arms crossed and my punim all upset. And if I can help fans express the feeling of, for example, what it feels like to watch the Blazers certain games this year, I'm just happy to help.
Yeah.
It could happen to any of us. It happened to Bill Simmons. In a much more local way, it's happened to me. We need someone to express not only our joy, which feel free to take a picture of me from the Damian Lillard, hitting that shot over Houston in the playoffs. I was at that game too, looking overjoyed. But if I can help express pathos, you know what I mean? As an artist, I feel like it's not only my privilege, but my duty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I just want to say too that like, I don't know why I often think about like, if someone was photographing me right now, like how would I want to look?
Yeah.
And like, so, kind of like arms crossed, like kind of like, not, you look, I wouldn't say you look pissed off. You just look kind of like,
I look sad.
You look a little sad, but kind of stern. So like, I guess what I'm saying, like, I feel like that if someone took a photo of me where I kind of have my arms crossed and I kind of look like that, like I would feel good about the way I was presenting myself in that moment.
Except I was wearing a jersey and a big hat.
Yes. Are you wearing a jersey over a hooded sweatshirt? Yeah. See that for me, I wouldn't go there. But
jersey over a hoodie and like a hat that I could never pull down far enough on my head, so there was like a room for a Ratatouille rat like to live in there. And so I look less like a disappointed coach and more like a toddler who had his toys taken away and is like sitting there. But also sometimes that's how it feels to be upset at a sports game.
I would say bringing out the toddler in yourself is probably the primary kind of
Everyone
emotion
in
of
an
being
arena
a
is a
sports fan.
toddler.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyone reacting to the game is a toddler. You have like your happiness is in the hands of someone, you know what I mean, beyond your control. We're all little toddlers in that arena. So I'm happy to be the face of NBA toddlerhood for the Portland Trail Blazers.
I just watched Band of Brothers last week. And there's a part in it where one of the guys gets shot and he's like, oh, they got me. And then like for the rest of the episode, he doesn't end up dying. And he's like, can you believe I said, oh, they got me? And like, And so why I mention this because like I think if people wrote down like if you went to a game and you just did what you're doing and then you wrote down if you had someone write down like everything you said during a game and then like read it back to you.
The transcript?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
You'd be
God.
like, wait, what?
That's a nightmare.
To the toddler point, like you would sound like a cantankerous 7-year-old.
I really would.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you. I'm saying that this is the
Everyone.
universal you. Yeah, I'm including myself in this.
My dad kept calling the ref blue at the game the other day, like it was a baseball game or something. He was just like, "Come on, blue."
Before we started the interview, you said hit the
Yeah.
head, and in my head, I was like, "Who do you think the last time someone under 35 said I'm going to go hit the head?"
Well, I'm not under 35, so
I'm sorry.
I mean, it would be
yeah.
it may be like the hipster child in Portland somewhere, like says that kind of thing.
The head is the bathroom for my younger listeners.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Both of his parents like work in marketing or they have a woodworking studio or something like that.
Yeah.
There might be like a 12-year-old who says it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And maybe like they had a cool grandfather. And,
The kid has only ever worn Bauhaus T-shirts.
Yeah,
like one of those ones.
like real Pendleton shirts.
Yeah,
like $175. And you're like, wait, what? Like,
it's expensive there, huh?
Expensive. I know.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
No, I mean, Pendleton. Feel free to send me anything you ever want. Ever.
And that goes double for me.
Yeah. So they did a collaboration with Margiela, and I was
Pendleton did?
yeah, and I was like, Jeremy, have you seen them? He's like, yeah, it's great. I was like, have they not sent you anything? He's like, no. I was like, how does Pendleton do a collaboration with Margiela?
Yeah.
And not send stuff to Jerami Grant to wear?
That seems insane.
He's the Margiela madman.
He should be
in
the
Portland
face of that.
Exactly.
He's gorgeous, by the way,
exactly.
too.
Which, this is not an astute point, but I just wanted to make it because I was thinking the other day. The whole thing with Royce Young complaining about how feminine or whatever Jeremy is. It's the overarching idea here is that it would be bad to be Jerami Grant, particularly in the eyes of
frankly
other people, because like I don't see it, Royce. Like
I would love to be Jerami
I would
Grant.
trade all kinds of things for that.
If we were doing a draft of like people in the NBA who'd we want to be, where you just switch lives with them immediately, Jerami Grant might be at the top of that
right
list.
Up there.
Because like
him and Matisse were talking about forming a band the other day. After
were they
the
really?
Game. Yeah. Like
do either
Matisse
of them play instruments?
Jeremy does.
Oh, of course
Matisse
he
kind of does. And Matisse was like, I don't think we have enough people who play instruments to start a band. And Jeremy's like, oh, no, we absolutely do. He's like,
On the
we
team?
absolutely can.
Yeah.
He's like, we can absolutely start a band.
That would be amazing.
And at that point, I was like, I know how to play the kalimba a little bit, that like hand piano thing. And Jeremy was like, oh, that's great. I was like, I can play the thing from the Rugrats. He's like, oh yeah. I was like, and it's Mark Mothersbaugh, so like that's
a real musician.
Yeah.
I feel like Jerami Grant would be in a band that had a kalimba. That's a natural
absolutely.
fit.
Yeah.
It would be like run through like a bunch of different like filters and electronic noise machines, but like it would be in there.
Absolutely. Well, he's really into classical music, but he was also talking the other day about how his older brother put him on to a lot of like hard rock when he was a kid too.
Oh,
so.
You can kind of see it in the way he dresses too. There's a little bit of that like grunge running through him.
Absolutely. And he's, I mean, and when he mentioned it too, I kind of thought maybe the flute, because he's a huge Andre 3000 fan.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I was like, you might play whatever flute Andre's got going.
He's like as far as like NBA Nepo babies go, I think he's the best one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. His life would be amazing because he's not so famous that like he can't exist in public. He clearly has like interests outside
lots
the
of other
NBA.
interests, exactly. Like basketball's important to him, but it's not so huge that it takes up every part of his life.
Right, exactly.
Like,
he could step away from the game, and I feel like he'd be entertained.
He obviously, being as you mentioned, being a Nepo baby, so he already had kind of like what to expect, and you don't get kind of caught up in some of the traps that maybe other players do. Like,
I don't know if he will, because who does? But I would love if he stayed in Portland.
I have no reason to believe that he is going to be anywhere else.
I want to go see Jerami Grant at the Crystal Ballroom. Yeah. I want to go see his like noise rock flute band.
Flute band. And again, like there's a lineage there that he could build out here in Portland.
Call Channing Frye.
That's true.
Get him on the horn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
he stayed. He loves it here.
He loves it here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll open for him at UNCJ's wine bar.
Dame's coming. Dame
will be back.
The compound
for
is
sure.
here, so like I mean, like when he left, I was like, hey man, like I want to say goodbye or something before I leave. He was like, I'll be back next summer. Like, we'll see you then. Like,
poor Dame. Do you see him complaining about being bored in Milwaukee?
Yes, I did.
We're all going through stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get him on he needs to start watching Netflix comedy specials.
Yeah.
I think that's the next step for him.
Yeah.
Boxing's all well and good. But while you're out there, check out Gary Goldman, go watch it. Fire up HBO Max. He's got a new special. Watch my stand-up. Dave.
I was going to say, I was going to bust your
towards.
chops about not saying watch Ian Karmel's stand-up.
Watch
come on.
Ian Karmel's stand-up
the
comedy.
explicit purpose of coming on this podcast. No, I won't say that because I'd like to think that
it's for us to talk like
20% is the
I would say it's
the
90%
kinship.
talking like chums.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But let's get to it a little bit though. So you got a show coming up here in Portland, Wonder Ballroom. 2 shows. One's already sold out. The second sold
Revolution
out.
Hall. Revolution Hall.
Boy, geez, yeah.
If you go to Wonder Ballroom that night, you're out of my life forever. You're out. I'm cutting you out. And I'm going to have someone at Wonderland Ballroom looking.
That's
Revolution Hall, yeah.
I'm going to leave that in only to...
The warning. It's a fair warning. This holds up in court.
The like, that size ballrooms, I get them all mixed
Who
up.
can keep them straight?
Yeah, and they're both on that side of the river,
They
too.
are.
So.
This is the one that used
if
to be
I
a high
said Crystal,
school.
then, I'd feel bad.
Then all of a sudden we have a lawsuit on our hands. But no, this one I'll let slide. Revolution Hall, March 23rd. I'm doing 2 shows. The first one's sold out already. So if you're hearing this and bought a ticket, thank you very much. But we added a late show, and their tickets are on sale right now. And please,
where do you?
Please
so you go
come.
to revolutionhall.com to get tickets.
Go
you
to
Ian
Revolution Hall's
Karmel,
website. You can go to my Twitter, my Instagram. Go to the link in bio, and it'll take you right there.
I clicked on your LinkedIn bio, or the link tree one today.
I need to update that,
Yeah,
by the way.
great,
There's
though.
shows from like a month ago. But so don't buy tickets to my Phoenix show from a month ago. But
Well, would you get the money though?
no.
Oh,
no,
well, yeah,
no,
don't buy those tickets. Then.
No, I don't know who would get the money.
Because
yeah,
even if you
I'm
were going to see a show, but at least you got the money, I'd still say do it.
just support your boy.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't done a special in like 10 years. I've never done a video special ever in my life. I did an album 10 years ago called 9.2 on Pitchfork. Did it at Mississippi Studios. Really loved that process. And so for the last 10 years, I've been like working in late night, writing for television, doing stand-up on the side. And for the last like 2 years, I've gotten very heavily back into stand-up. Been refining this material. Much of this, like almost 90% of this material will be the first time I'm performing it at a big show in Portland. So it's like, if you saw me at Revolution Hall last year, this is all new stuff from then. And I'm taping it. We're gonna hopefully sell it to someone. And if not, I'm just gonna put it on YouTube so people can see it. I'm just like very excited about this material.
They should run it right after the trail, or right before the trail, actually. They should do an Ian Karmel from Revolution Hall, the trail episode 1, Ian Karmel from Revolution Hall, the trail episode 2.
I'm ready. I don't think people would want to see the grimy truth of what my life is like on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot of picking crumbs out of my chest hair. But if people are ready for that level of realness, yeah.
I respect. I have a real problem and it's maybe not as much anymore.
Yeah.
But the complete societal aversion to chest hair.
It's unacceptable.
It really weirds me out.
It's unacceptable.
Why? Like, yes, I have chest hair. Like, I'm an adult man.
Glorious.
Yeah.
I love a big forest. I like to think of my chest as like a forest full of mysteries.
Sure.
Where anything could lurk in there.
Yeah.
And maybe it seems scary at first, but that's okay too. It's scary the way a fun scary is good. Or like salvation might await. I think chest hair is wonderful.
Yeah. So like anytime someone's like, you have a little chest, it's like, yes, I'm an adult man. I apologize.
And
I understand like the whole like taco meat idea thing.
Oh, I love it. Chain in the
yeah,
taco
come
meat?
on, man.
It looks
like
beautiful.
Exactly. And like a cool little chain. Like that's
also, if you don't have chest hair, you got to like, so if you don't have chest hair, you have to be incredibly buff to make an open shirt work.
Yeah.
If you do have chest hair, you can look like me and make an open shirt work. And you look like a sexy Italian deli
absolutely.
owner. You know?
Yeah.
Chain resting in it. Looks great. Little like tank top underneath. Mm-hmm. The tank top that used to have a socially unacceptable name now.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm referring
tank
to.
Topping, yeah.
That society has not yet agreed upon a new name for it, but that's the tank top I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Chest hair and a little bit of a paunch. That's my look until I die.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I will say, it does feel like we're getting closer and closer to more like accepting of non-traditional body styles, but like
yes.
When I see like a bare-haired chest,
yeah,
like that to me looks weird. Like,
I don't like it.
It's just like, because I know that it's not real.
Looking like an empty parking lot.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm like, why isn't anybody here? Doesn't look fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out.
Yeah. So wear your chest hair out for the show Revolution
No shade
Hall.
if you have a natural
of course not.
chest hair look.
Absolutely.
By the way, we accept you and we love you.
It's just more like if you're at that level of like escaping.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like it's just a little weird.
I think you're putting off some other work you need to do on yourself.
That's what it is.
Happening.
You're it's a statement about something.
Yeah.
else.
Now, my shoulder hair, I could take it or leave it. But the chest hair stays forever.
Yeah.
So there you go. Fun conversation with Ian Karmel, part 1 of a 2-part conversation. We'll have the rest of that conversation on an upcoming edition of The Briefcase. I should have mentioned it before the interview, but that segment right at the beginning where we kind of stop and you can hear some talking for a minute, that's actually someone coming up to Ian right as we were starting the interview to tell him how much his comedy means to them, how important the work that he's done has been to them throughout the years, which as someone who creates content is absolutely the best thing that ever happens in terms of the feedback that you get from people. Anytime someone in person lets you know that something you did actually meant something to them, at least for me, I know as someone who creates content who's been doing it for a while, and it sometimes feels like, are people even listening anymore? To get that kind of feedback is always incredibly heartwarming, and it makes it worth the while to do this kind of jobs, to put in the work, to put in the effort that we put in, to try to create something that will actually be of value to someone at some point in time. And that feels good. Still feels good after all these years. But while you have to wait for the second part of the conversation with Ian, you do not have to wait to get your tickets to Ian's show on March 23rd at Revolution Hall. 2 shows. First show is already sold out. Second show not yet sold out. Revolution Hall, March 23rd. Tickets still available. You can also pre-order T-Shirt Swim Club, which you absolutely should, from any number of retailers, both local and national. And subscribe and listen to All Fantasy Everything wherever you get your podcasts. So Ian Karmel, live show, Revolution Hall, March 23rd. New book, T-Shirt Swim Club. Pre-order now. Great podcast. All Fantasy Everything. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. There's no shortage of places. And that's going to do it for this edition of The Briefcase. Thank you so much for joining me, as always. New additions later on this week. Trailblazers, their schedule filling up as we get into the meat of March. Blazers hosting the Thunder on March 6th, hosting the Rockets and the Raptors in back-to-back games on Friday, March 8th and Saturday, March 9th, then hosting the Boston Celtics on Monday the 11th, then the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday the 13th, our good friend Josh Hart on the second night of a back-to-back, the Knicks on Thursday, March 14th, before heading out for the oddest 2-game road trip I can ever remember at New Orleans, at Chicago. But plenty of podcasts, be it The Briefcase, The Blazers Balcony, or Section 113, before we head back out on the road once again. So like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. New editions of The Briefcase later on this week, one of which will include the rest of the interview with Ian Karmel, new Blazers Balcony with Brooke Olzendam on Wednesday, new Section 113 with Michael and Travis, whenever they're putting those out, semi-regularly. I don't know what their schedule is, but they're doing a great job with that, so check that out as well. Go to trailblazers.com/podcast to subscribe to all of our podcasts. We'll talk again soon. I'm Casey Holdahl. Go Blazers.